Again, Denise here, and this is Pose of the Week, and our pose today is Vashistasana, or side plank pose. So I'm showing this posture particularly for three reasons. Number one, to prime the fascia. So this action that I'm going to start with is good for priming the fascia, and I'll tell you when and why we would do that. Number two is connecting the body as one piece. And the other one is how do we set the shoulder? So setting the shoulder is very important for many postures, especially inversions, but when the weight is on the shoulders, we need to know how to set those. So I'm going to start in upper push-up position. So this is where I'm priming the fascia. I'm going to have my feet just a little bit apart. I root down into my fingers and especially into my finger pads. So the ends of my fingers, I want to really root those down. And I want to actually see my fingernails blanch a little bit. I'm dialing my hands away from each other, so I'm kind of wrapping my arms in, getting the shoulder blades nice and solid on my spine. And then I'm grounding into my great toes and the great toe mounds. And from here, I'm actually going to come up into kind of a hollow shape. So I just call this hollow body. So I'm pressing really, really firmly, more firmly than is strictly necessary, into my hands and feet, and I'm pulling all that energy into my core. I'm going to stay in this hollow body shape. This is what I'll call priming my fascia. So more, super energized as much as I can. And then I can actually turn that off a little bit as I rock over onto the outer aspect of my foot. Now I set up my arm here, and I want to keep that set up here. I'm still dialing that energy outward. I'm still pressing into the pads of my fingers, dialing my energy outward. I'm basically going to do the same thing with my lifted arm, spinning it outward. And then I remember, my body is going to remember the way I primed the fascia as I take it here. And in that priming, so when I go from here to here, that is where I connect. My body stays as one piece. Because otherwise, it's easy to fall apart at the hips, the ankles, the shoulder, somewhere. So, I'm not even going to get fancy with that pose today. But if you can think about uniting the body as one piece, priming the fascia, and then organizing the shoulder and keeping that organization going as you move into Vashistasana. Then it becomes a very instructional, foundational posture. And of course, you can always take that from the knees. It wouldn't look all that much different, but of course, the load is not as great. But I find what I've heard from many of my students is that once they prime the fascia, they're actually able to take a more challenging iteration of the pose. So something to experiment with. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.